They do it to harm you. Yeah. Another bald man being forcibly dragged to a hair transplant clinic. Bro, you cannot be balding on Turkish soil. Okay. If you're every Turk is bald, but every foreigner that's bald in Turkey, they just black bag you and toss you into the nearest hair. Turks going after Americans. What is this? U.S. soldier gets attacked in front of a group of men in Turkey. Yankee go home. You know, this is crazy. Like, this is probably a meme. I don't think this is real. The reason why I don't think this is real is because, like, this literally happened. I think this was, what the was it? I think it was like an American, like it was Americans that black bagged Turkish soldiers or something at a certain point. I remember it was like it was a big point of contention in Iraq, I think. So Turks remember that and hate it. It is pretty funny to say Yankee go home to a U.S. soldier on Turkish soil where, you know, you're probably like 10 miles out from a goddamn American base with nuclear weapons on it. You know, it's like hilarious to be like, yeah, Yankee go home. It's like, bro, what are you saying? Like, do you know what country you're in? We are literally a missile base against the USSR and now Russia. İzmir burası zaten military base orada aynen. Now, you know, but them bagging his head up, them putting a bag over his head, that's like symbol. I don't think they're trying to kill him, but that is like that's like a symbolic gesture because of the thing that they never gave up on. It's like a performative thing because of what happened. They put something in your water in Turkey to make you a marabou. Wait, what? Is Doğu Perinçeks guys? Irak'tan çuval geçirmişlerdi ya. Ona gönderme ilk işgal zamanında. Ha aynen. Turks will never give up on this dude. Yankee, go home. They put some of your water in the U.S. too, not to make you a boo of any kind. They do it to harm you. Yeah. Another bald man being forcibly dragged to a hair transplant clinic. Bro, you cannot be balding on Turkish soil. Okay. If you're every Turk is bald, but every foreigner that's bald in Turkey, they just black bag you and toss you into the nearest hair clinic. You're right. That's probably what's popping. That's probably what's going on. Gay city residents forced straight man to twerk against his will. Yeah, I have no idea what's happened. The people who did it claim to stand for Eurasian ideals. I think they're working for Russia and trying to start. If it's Doğu Perinçeks guys, okay, which I don't know. That's what people are saying. Dude, I don't know. Turkish politics is so weird. But the association flag that they have, I think, is the Türk Gençlik Birliği, right? Or is that what it is? Is that what it stands for? It's they're like liberal Kemalist lefty types. But again, it doesn't. It's like the youth league kind of like the youth. I ain't seen no youth up in here, by the way. But yeah, this is the flag, the banner that they have is like they're in Izmir, which is like supposed to be a very secular area and much more progressive than the rest of the country. But they're still Kemalists. And also have like a lot of nationalistic sentiment. The flag banner that they have up is TGB, which is the Turkish Youth League, the Turkish Youth Union. They're saying that the dude is like the people that they're these operatives are a part of is basically Doğu Perinçeks operation, but I don't know. I don't know anything. Whose photo is on the banner? That's Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. That's the founding father of Turkey. So these are rather pro-Russia left-wing secular nationalists currently aligned with the government. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of weird happened in this over the course of the last 20 years. But they're like very anti-USA. Liberal dedim ama anti-Amerika yine de sosyalistik falan pek yok işlerinde o anlamda. Nasyonalizm odaklı hafif. They've always been anti-US soldiers and anti-Zionist though. Yeah. I thought you were a bald ally. I am. That's why I'm in support of what they're doing here because they're, like I said, they're black bagging him. Well, they're white bagging him. Push it to take him to the hair clinic. Clearly, like they're there to help him. He's like, no, don't take me. Don't take me to the hair clinic. And they're like, no, you're going to the hair clinic. Like we're going to do it for free. I don't know what's going on. Least nationalistic Turks yelling Yankee go home because they think the American military is woke and gay now. No, it has nothing to do with that. They don't give a fuck like woke and gay. Like that's not, these guys are, they're like pro-Russia, pro-China, anti-USA, but then they're also Turkish nationalists. It's very, oh God, I don't even know I don't know where to begin, and I don't know how to explain it. Okay. Like, I genuinely don't know how to even begin to explain it. No, they're not Marxists at all. No, they're not. Oh, how is Turkish nationalism pro-Russia? What are you talking about? How is Turkish nationalism pro-Russia? First of all, the positions in Turkey in terms of like alignment is so broken. I don't know how to describe it to you. Turkey is a NATO nation that literally aligns with Russia regularly. Turkey also happens to sell the Bayraktar drones to Ukraine. If you want to understand Recep Tayyip's stance, you have to look at it like in the simplest terms possible. Play both sides and you always come out on top. He ends up coming out in the bottom every time, but like he's attempting to play for both sides to come out on top. Straight up. Like, he literally is trying to facilitate. I mean, there was obviously the missile crisis, like the missile defense system crisis that occurred in Turkey. They're a NATO nation. They're a part of the F-35, or used to be a part of the F-35 program. And simultaneously, they were trying to get like Russian defense, like newer Russian defense systems. So America was like, you can't do that. Obviously, we can't put our planes on the same platform as like our enemy's defense system. And then there was a big crisis there. Then they got kicked off of the F-35 program, but they're still a NATO nation, obviously, and they have the second largest army in NATO in general. So it's an incredibly invaluable ally from the American State Department's perspective, which is why they let them run rampant in northern Syria, and they don't give a. Also, on top of that, Turkey is like, on the one hand, through NATO, selling a ton of weapons and selling a ton of drones to Ukraine that Ukraine is then using inside of Russian soil. However, on the other hand, Turkey is facilitating an energy deal with the Russian government. So you can't really, there is no way to comprehend what Turkey's position is in terms of like why Turkish nationalists are pro-Russia. You will never be able to discern, you will never be able to understand it. Okay. At least with like America, there's, you know, there's like, you kind of understand. I can tell you exactly what America's interests are in almost every single circumstance, right? Turkey, on the other hand, is impossible to decipher in many instances. Erdogan isn't at the table. Erdogan is the table. Yeah, masa biziz. Anyway, Turkey is the one China policy of NATO. So the other side of the Turkish government is that apparently they are now finally aligning with China a little bit more. This is what I've heard. Sorry, I had to send a text message. Why don't they play both sides with Greece? Yeah. They have like a EV thing going on with China, which I think is good. Ne oluyor? Nereye? Saatte. Ulan 12 değil bile saat. Oh, vay anasını peki. Turks love Atatürk while also loving the Ottoman Empire. Despite one trying to be secular and one being an Islamic caliphate, nationalism in Turkey is literally contradictions stacked on one another. No, technically the Ottoman Empire is not like the Ottoman Empire is not seen as like the Islamic caliphate. It's the same principle behind the USSR and the way that like older Russians analyze the USSR as a major force on the planet. It's not necessarily always about the socialism or the attempts of socialism, but instead being a hegemonic power on the planet. And in terms of the Ottoman Empire being an Islamic caliphate, I've talked about this quite a bit, but the Ottoman Empire was quite literally, maybe not in the last part of the Ottoman Empire, the fall of the Ottoman Empire, but like leading up to it was always considered to be woke in comparison to like its contemporaries. So it's never been like it's literally never been like oh, this is a very restrictive Islamic caliphate and we want to do that. It's ironic though because that's what the way that Erdogan presents it as. Like Erdogan literally will always talk about the Ottoman Empire, or at least like make inferences to the Ottoman Empire as though it was like leading the Ummah and it was the maintenance of the Islamic Caliphate that was significant. But like it literally was insanely progressive in comparison to other empires, and the way that it treated its like I don't even want to say colonial subjects, because it's like it was significantly more progressive than its counterparts at the time, which allowed it to be so expansive and so powerful for a very long time. Was Atatürk a socialist? Fuck no, he was an anti-socialist. But so Erdogan is in some sense a dictator like Putin. Erdogan and Putin have a lot of similarities. The only difference is happens to preside over a NATO nation. Putin wishes that he could, but he never got to. Oh yeah, no, holy, if you're 100% on the money with older Russians as a regular Russian chatter. I talk to these boomers IRL at the gym and whatnot. They love the power and the glory of the USSR. Yeah. So it's not like, depending on who you talk to, you're right. It's in terms of like Turkish nationalism being contradictions stacked onto one another, but that's just every nationalism, obviously, because like nationalism and fascism are just like inherently contradicting. So you're not wrong on that front. It's just that, you know, there's you know, it's very, how do I describe it? It's just very personal to people, the way that they see it, and it's very different from person to person. Atatürk at all, I see Atatürk in the same way that I see the founding fathers in the United States of America. You know what I mean? Like some good, some bad. That's just the way I see it in terms of like in terms of being a revolutionary force. That's just literally it's almost identical. No slave ownership obviously on the Atatürk front, but I'm Kurdish, and Turk is also unique because if I tell people I'm Kurdish, they go, no, you're Turkish. So it's kind of unique in that way too. Yes, this is also a very funny way in which like there is the alt kimlik üst kimlik mentality where Turkish is so odd because it's like, no, you're Turkish, you're not Kurdish. Like they literally would just be like imagine like the people in America. The people in America are like, no, you're Mexican, you're not American. Imagine if like people in America were like, no, dude, you're actually American, you're not Mexican at all. And you were like, no, you don't understand. Like, I have this ethnic background. They're like, no, it doesn't work like that. You're American. But having said that, it's also unique because obviously there are people, depending on what spectrum of nationalism you're exhibiting and what like ultra nationalist sentiment you're demonstrating, you can also be one of those guys who's like, no, you're Kurdish, you need to be but the broadest majorities of like Turkish nationalists will just consider every Kurd to be Turkish, inclusive. I mean, the French did that, I think. People will say the Han Chinese kind of do that. It's like it's forcible assimilation in many respects. It's like, so it's obviously not good. Especially considering that Kurds are 35 million in the region with no nation state. So they're one of the largest ethnic groups on the planet with no like with no national sovereignty whatsoever. But that's what it is. Is it like Israel denying Palestinian nationalism? No. That's the funniest thing because it, like I've said this before, obviously the Turkish government historically has been horrible to the Kurds. Okay. But if, as it stands, Israel treated all of the 5 million Palestinians that are currently under Israeli occupation in the same way that like the Turkish government treats the Kurds, the world would celebrate the unimaginable accomplishments. This isn't to say that like obviously Turks are treating the Kurds much better or the Turks treat the Kurds perfectly fine, but it's like it's that bad in Israel that it is obviously significantly more exclusionary in Israel in terms of the Palestinians. Like they don't consider the Palestinians to be a part of the in-group at all. Empires always force a culture they see as superior to make it easier for them to control people. Surprised that they were secular, but I heard they forced their subs at the chowder. Oh, you. Why am I getting... I hate when people do alley-oops in the chat. You're not allowed to do alley-oops in the chat. Stop it. You're not allowed to do that. It's way different because if Kurds speak Turkish and don't say they're Kurdish, it's actually fine. That's why it's different than Israel, who just straight up is an apartheid. Yeah. Like, it kind of works because a bunch of Kurds in Turkey now don't speak the Kurdish language anymore and they only speak Turkish. I have a lot of family like that. Of course. Like, there are a ton, if not millions, I would say, of Kurdish people that have, like, been rid of their Kurdish ethnic lineage, ethnic heritage. And also, I mean, to a certain degree, like, I have Kurdish like in my line of descendants, like obviously there's Kurdish people, there's Arab people as well, like on my mother's side of the family, because we're from Kilis, okay, which is a very in terms of like Turkish demographics, like our ethnic heritage is you know, Kurdish, Arab, like but we see ourselves as Turkish, and that is because throughout years and years of yeah, they've overcome it. But you said you were white, bro. Look at me, I am. Anyway, empires always force a culture. Yeah, I got cooked. At the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for $5 or for free with Twitch Prime. It's also September. I don't know what kind of benefits you get on September, but it is September. Basically, every European country did that during the nationalist period, starting in the 18th century. If you look at Hungarian surnames, half of them denote non-Hungarian ethnicities. The French swallowed the Breton, the Spanish, the Catalans, etc. Yeah. Abu Ubaidah has openly recognized that Hamas executed the 6 hostages, by the way, as we suspected yesterday. I did talk about that already, but we'll obviously cover that as well. People will probably be confused as to why they did it. You know, you can watch my latest YouTube video on it. I did cover it yesterday with the suspicion that it was probably Hamas that executed the hostages yesterday. And why the Israeli society is still mad at Benjamin Netanyahu. But yeah, so here's the 3-minute ad break now. Let's dive into it. We did like an entire hour of just talking.